Hello and welcome to Our Time. Toxic masculinity is a phrase we hear often, unfortunately. And our guests in this episode are doing something to try and help families with young men understand what it is to really be a man. Hello to the cast, I was going to say, and crew, but it's not. It's
kind of.
Cast.
I'm kind of crew.
Well, you are. Well, you're kind of crew because you directed the play.
Yeah,
and the play is called Amanda.
One Punch Wonder.
And that really sums up the whole story, doesn't it? But let's meet everybody. So let's start with you.
Sure. I'm Christian Tomazeski.
I'm Amanda Cruz.
My name's Adam Lewinhart.
I'm Jared Stevenson.
I'm Elvin Lamprecht.
I'm Stefan Lachman.
And I'm Thomas Walkland.
And I'm Malcolm Harsland, who very smartly got everybody to say their own name. Amanda, this is all because of you.
Yes.
So first of all, just explain the Actors Hub, which is everyone's wearing, don't you all look smart? How did the Actors Hub come into being?
So Actors Hub is a school in Perth. So I started the Actors Hub way back in 2012 initially as a way to get into WAPA because a lot of West Australians weren't getting into WAPA.
And just explain, WAPA is...
the West Australian Academy of Performing Arts.
Yeah.
And then after a while we started working with students and they wanted to stay with us, so we created a 3-year course that trains them up and then brings them out to the eastern states and gets some representation and starts them working within the industry.
And we hope that we'll see their faces both on stage and the screen.
Indeed. And then we loved working with them so much, and so we wanted to continue working with them. So we created the Actors Hub Studios, which is our production company, and then we started to create, pieces that we could employ them back to do.
And you've really got a trio of plays that sort of fall under this umbrella.
Yes, so the Blind Eye trilogy. So the things that we turn a blind eye to in our current culture. And the plays are set to start conversations around the violence on our streets, the violence in our homes. And
that's One Punch Wonder.
That's One Punch Wonder. The violence in our homes, which is there anybody out there? And the violence on our screens, which is called innocent porn.
And that's because we do see so much on the screen and we just take it for granted.
Yeah.
But when we see these things in real life, it's all a bit terrifying.
Yeah, and the age that young children are being exposed to pornographic images as well, and they don't have a language to communicate that, and they go into trauma, and then they don't know how to deal with that.
They don't really understand it.
No, and then you got the other end of the spectrum where people, watch a lot of pornography, and then they go into our writers' rooms. So then we're seeing it more in our films and on our television screens.
Actually, that's very valid. I hadn't thought of it in those terms. So that's really. Yeah. So let's get everybody's story. We may as well start with you.
Okay, sure. What would you like to know?
You were born.
I was born in South America.
You've got 30 seconds.
I was born in South America, in Venezuela, in Porlamar, on a small island, and then my parents decided to travel across to Australia. So we did a world tour, and I ended up in Sydney, and then I ended up in WA, and I am now here in Adelaide as a result of being a part of the Actors Hub.
Fantastic.
That was good.
Sure.
That was impressive.
My name is Thomas Walkland. I already said that. I was born in South Africa.
Keep saying it so people remember.
I will. I was born in South Africa, Polokwane. I spent the first 3 years of my life in South Africa before moving to England for 3 weeks and then down to Australia for the rest of my life. Graduated high school and found the Actors Hub because I wanted pursuing acting a little bit more, and here I am.
And just graduated.
Just graduated.
One of our
Congratulations.
most recent graduates. Yeah.
Well, I'm Stefan Lachman. I'm from Mauritius originally. I moved to Perth when I was 19. I've been in Perth for 15 years. That's why I went to the Actors Hub 2018. And then I did my free course full-time as an actor. And then graduated, moved to Sydney. And then I'm touring the Blind Eye trilogy with everyone.
I'm Elvin Lamprecht, and I was born in Switzerland, winter tour, and I travelled around a lot with my family. And then
Can you yodel?
No, yodel. No, that's about it. But I can make some chocolate. But yeah, we moved to Australia after travelling here lots of times when I was 8, and then ended up living in Geraldton for 8 years, and then moved to Perth, and then I joined the Actors Hub straight after school, and I've graduated with Thomas here just this year. And yeah, it's been great because you graduate and now we constant support after graduating, and now I'm here driving across the Nullarbor to Adelaide.
But you also speak more than one language?
Yes, I speak Swiss and I speak German and English. And Swiss is not a written language, so we actually write German or French or Italian,
Okay, I never
but
knew
we
that.
speak Swiss.
But you also speak?
Yes, I speak French and Creole, and now English.
Right.
I'm just English.
No, me too.
Apologise.
Oh, I speak Spanish and English, and then a little bit of Japanese since I lived there for a year at some point in my life.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. Okay, we got up to you.
I was born in Western Australia. I had a great drama teacher in year 9. I didn't want to be an actor, but I did a show with him and I loved the work we did, and so I wanted to act since I was 14. I went straight out of high school into the Actors Hub. Me and Chris were part of the first graduating year, and so me and Chris have worked together for a decade now, and so have me and Amanda. Over a decade, jeez. Oh no, just a decade now. After graduating I moved to Sydney. I have gone back and forth between Perth and Sydney. I've toured with the Blind Eye Trilogy since it started in 2018, all across the country. I've done some work in television and film. And
they might like your eyes, I suspect.
You were saying before?
I was saying before, you've got commanding eyes.
Smoky.
Smoky, you said.
Smoky eyes.
You said smoky, I appreciate it.
I'd love a really tight close-up of his eyes. We'll try and arrange that.
So,
Sorry, time's up.
Yes, everyone still bullies Jared.
So I was just too good a line.
no, that's all good. I was from one of the most mixed nationality families that I've ever come across. So my dad's family were Burghers in Sri Lanka, which were the Eurasian mix. So they were Sri Lankan, British, Portuguese and Dutch. And then my mum's grandparents were all from different countries. One was from Austria, Poland, Ireland and Malta. They moved to Egypt, which is where my grandparents were born. And then they moved to Hong Kong, which was where my mum was born. And then she moved to Australia in Perth, which is where my parents met. That's where I was born.
I think I got lost on the Nullarbor there.
Yeah, it was all over the world.
That's amazing.
So I had a lot of identity crises growing up. I used to think I was white, and then somebody told me I wasn't. And I was always just... I know, it's a strange thing for somebody to tell somebody, but I grew up in the arts, and I did music, writing. I found my way to acting, and I didn't really know anybody in the acting world, and I came across the Actors Hub. Studied there, graduated in COVID, so I just kept working with them.
That's an interesting acting thing to graduate in COVID. I've never heard an actor,
Yeah.
a COVID actor before.
Well, because you graduate, you think the world's your oyster, you're about to go out there, and then nothing's
Actually, that's
happening.
a really valid point you've just made, because for all performers who are coming up through universities or different schools, suddenly the bottom fell out of their world.
It did,
and there was really nowhere to go, was there?
Can I say how important it is when you have a team then during that time that can support you? Because that was our thing.
Quite.
They organized all those Zoom classes, so then we still stayed in the work, and that was really important. That's right.
Well, now that we've met you all, we've got a clip of the show of One Punch Wonder that you recorded in Adelaide, which includes some what I would call vox pops of people explaining what the show meant to them. So let's just take a look at that, because this will explain what all these guys are doing here.
It's incredibly impactful.
That is just such an important piece of work. It was a real privilege to watch it. I cried my eyes out.
I had just absolutely no idea that there was so many incidents that happened with One Punch.
The most memorable moment was the first time that they mentioned being a man and how that can impact someone. I know I've been told that many times throughout my life.
I think the fact that there's such a need for change in our culture, and this sort of production helps promote that.
Yeah, I think that we need to encourage our young men to talk about their troubles and be kind and look after one another.
Drop saying, giving those guys the messages that they can't share their emotions. Oh, you're too emotional. I hear that a lot. For men, and it's like, are you kidding? Like, you're actually very strong to express your emotions.
I think this is an all of community problem, because you know that just that saying of like be a man is is problematic.
I'm currently a SACE teacher. My son, who I saw this with, has just told me that it's been part of his current curriculum. However, I just think that for just over an hour of your time, this was just so impactful and to the point. I actually think that this gives far more information than someone standing up the front of a classroom and trying to give out information and saying, don't do that, don't behave like that. This was far more powerful.
A lot of boys in their formative years should see the show, but also those who are role models. So, teachers, parents, people have to bring up the next generation.
If you've got kids, like young adults in your family, this should be in every school in Australia.
That's amazing, seeing that. And I saw the show, and it's the sweatiest show I've ever seen because it's so physical. Amanda, you directed it.
Yes, yeah.
Where did the script come from? Because you created that as well.
Yeah, so we had graduating year was a group of 4 men, and so we were looking for something that they could work on. We were self-devising, and so we looked at the coward's punch, and then so we interviewed people all around Australia and the world, and just so 85%, if not more, of the script is actual real people stories,
right.
from real people.
Well, look, we'll be back in a moment because we'll talk a lot more about this and about what it is to be an actor in a show where you've basically got to rely on each other to such a strong degree. And we'll be back in a tick. Welcome back to Our Time. We have the writer and director and the cast of One Punch Wonder that we've been talking to. Amanda is the creator, and everybody else, you are?
Jared.
You got all that, hopefully. Amanda, coming up with a play of this nature and in the atmosphere that is today with young men, did you have sort of an altruistic purpose for writing it? Did something happen in your life to make this an important play to put together? No,
not at all. In fact, Is There Anybody Out There is the one that's closest to me that I was actually asked to write by a mining company. They said they saw One Punch Wonder and they said, this is great, we'd really love you to address this topic, and I was like, oh, okay, that's going to become more difficult. So One Punch, I didn't have any connection to it, except for I grew up with 2 brothers and a father, and they were all gentlemen, like really lovely men, and then stepping out into the world and seeing this whole other side of men.
Not all men are lovely.
Yeah, that I had never known before. So
Mind you, not all women are lovely either.
No, not at all.
It's the truth.
Absolutely. And there's lies that we tell our boys and there's lies that we tell our girls, and they're quite problematic.
I was thinking about that when I was watching the show, that toughen up, sweetheart, and all those sort of lines that we all get at some point in our lives. Or, suggestions, you're not a real man if you haven't, whatever, you haven't, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Now, I saw 4 of you in the play, and there's clearly more than 4 of you, but I understand that you can all swing the parts, is that correct?
Yes, yeah, pretty much, yeah.
So we've all, different people have stepped into the roles at different times.
So because the choreography of the show, and I say choreography, it's not dancing, you're not dancing, but it's so close to dancing. The moves are so precise, and you were all so together. So who did I see? I saw you, you, and you.
The 4 of us were on.
As you sweated over each other.
Yep. Oh, yes. Yeah.
So what has it meant for you to play the role that you're playing?
So it's actually meant quite a bit. I had the beauty of watching One Punch Wonder a few times before I stepped into it.
All right.
And how
hard was it to learn all that? The choreo, the dialogue, because it's bang, 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 I
think the beautiful thing is it's almost like a machine. So there are the other cast members who are already there, who are nurture like any new cast member through it. So when I stepped into it, I really had 3 people taking me through it. I think it was maybe like 2 weeks, and then then we were just running it after that, which was beautiful.
Well, see, I saw you in the show, but then I saw you in the foyer while the show was on.
Yes, that's because me and Thomas, we've been just recently put into it and had to learn it pretty quickly. But just like Jared said, them three have been doing it for so long now that we kind of could just step in and they helped us.
Yeah, but you still got to know it. You know,
oh, yeah.
We were talking about people, when you're teaching people who want to be actors and they don't bother to learn the lines.
Yeah.
But there was so much and it's so rapid fire. Was it difficult for you?
I would say, honestly, the first time we ever did it, yes. But after that, it just got stronger and stronger and stronger. So now it's etched into me, so it isn't that difficult to do at all. It's just a matter of working with each other to make sure that we're, in sync, following each other's rhythm and listening rhythm. That's probably the most important.
They're falling into each other's rhythm.
Yeah.
But because this was your first year, you two, first year, how easy was it for you to slip in?
Well, like Jared said, they make it so easy, and we've been doing, because of the school, we've been doing physical work for 3 years now.
Right.
So the moves that we were doing, there was a couple of them that were quite acrobatic, and they needed a little bit more work.
As you can see in the clip we showed.
Yeah, but the ones where it's kind of you're there on time with the lines, just needs a rehearsal period, and you fall in pretty quickly.
Would you say that in today's world of being an actor, your discipline has to be absolutely so sort of clenched fist? You've absolutely got to have it all.
Yeah, definitely, more than ever.
So you weren't in the show.
No, I'm not.
But you're in one of the others.
I'm in the two others.
Two others.
But I've seen One Punch Wonder at least, I think, 100 times. I've watched it. And from an outside point of view, and they're all mentioning it, is that, we're doing a show about One Punch and what it means to be a man. And having 4 men in the room, always having to come up against their own, how they were raised and their own conditioning and how they work through it. I think that translates into what you experience through the show. So that's
well,
really
the fact that you've all got such different backgrounds, that's...
Yeah, and you said, you asked earlier, what does it mean, like, for us to be doing the show? What does the show mean to us? I think it's really important that we don't, every single time we do it, it challenges all our concepts about the men we are and what it means to be a man for us.
Absolutely, because I've started doing the show when I was 20, and so throughout my kind of early adult years, it really helped shape and define what I think about masculinity and what I value and what the type of man that I want to be. And like you said, every time we do the show, we are reevaluating that. And so not only am I really proud of the work in the show, but the personal effect that it has had on at least my life, and I think for the boys as well, has been a pretty powerful thing to be a part of.
So anybody answer this. Working together, you're like a band of brothers. Mm-hmm. Have you had moments where you've actually recognised the toxic masculinity that it can occur just in your relationships together?
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
I can speak to that. Growing up, I had a lot of anger within me. And there was a moment a few years ago where they actually pulled me up and said, hey, you're actually being a little bit of a, can I say the word? Being a little bit of a bad person at the moment.
A pain in the derriere.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm really grateful for that because it really, it sent me through some things.
But if we could do that to our friends and family, if we felt confident enough in the friendships to be able to say that, or to call people out who are doing who are speaking badly to you. But it's the physical side, isn't it? Yeah. That's really what the show is about, the physical side of people literally going up for no apparent reason and going bang.
Well, I think that's the great thing about the show is that we call it the catalyst for the conversation afterwards. And so they see the show and then afterwards people want to talk about it. And I think that's going to be what will cause a cultural change, which is what we're after. And we need a cultural change. And if we can get people talking, if you get men talking, if you can get boys talking, then things start to shift and things start to change.
But it is boys. Yeah. We've got to start with boys.
Yes, yeah.
And do you feel that sport is the greatest probably poor educator, because when you're playing competitive sport, it is about knocking another fella out, sort of thing.
Yeah, we do say we need to redefine
what it means to be a coach.
Yeah, and I think and also it is about boys, but it's actually about parenting. It's actually how do we parent, and everyone's a parent. Everyone in our community is a parent. You're role modelling for the next generation.
Absolutely.
So we need to clean it up a little bit, because we're So I think it's across everything. We need to clean it up.
Yeah, and we also really believe in we take it to schools.
Yes.
And we have.
Yes, it's a great
theatre.
school show, and I gather that you play it in the round or
Yes.
3 sides at least.
Yeah.
The way you've directed it's really interesting, because it's going out everywhere. Sorry to.
No, that's all good.
I've done that several times. I do apologise.
No, it tracks. It's just me. But yeah.
You won't thump me afterwards. though.
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
But yeah, so what we've found is that when we take it to schools, where they can sort of go through it with us, give suggestions about what they're going through, what they might do in that situation, and then try it with the actors, and then come see the show later that night with their parents or with their teachers, and have those conversations with people who can help facilitate that, and with us. It's really beautiful.
I honestly, I think it's such a great piece. It really opens your eyes that we sort of don't really want to see, because we're men. Because we we can be strong and we can be all of that, but the reality is we all have a soft underbelly. Coming from where you came from, were you born in Australia?
No, Switzerland, yeah.
Yeah. So was the language difficult for you, or the concept the same with your upbringing?
I learned English when I was 5 by singing.
Sorry, I mean more about the culture that you were brought up in. Have you seen a difference in the Australian culture?
Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, I grew up a lot in Geraldton, which is a little country town above Perth, which violence was very high, especially in the public schools where I was.
Right.
And, so many confused young boys like I was at the time as well. And then I moved to Perth, and there was a lot more support because it's a bigger city, but even then you can get lost. And so, having this great team where we can talk about it and start communicating about it, which I think is, where we said we need to start.
And I
everyone.
suppose that's the beauty of doing acting classes in many ways, because you can get a lot of this stuff out, and it can not so much be corrected, but you start to have to think about the characters you're playing and what's going in. Just really quickly, in your Creole background.
Yes, well, my upbringing, I was very lucky to have beautiful parents, beautiful dad. So he was a great role model in terms of how you treat people around you. But in terms of the society itself, there is a bit of balance there, but it's when you realize you have it too. You can have all the best intentions in the world, but when it happens to someone close to you or anyone that balance, you have it as a man, you have it inside you. So not to pretend that you don't have that, to be able to look at it and make the little changes in your personal habits. I think that's...
Yeah, it's a fascinating subject, but we've just got to take one last break and we'll be back in a tick. We've been talking to the cast of One Punch Wonder that was in Adelaide for the Adelaide Fringe. Just asking you all quick questions, what has being an actor meant for you?
For me, it's honestly growing as a human, because acting makes you need to look at yourself from a third perspective and delve into all the dark areas so that you can challenge certain aspects of acting to grow.
It goes back to the thing where I see all my friends around, and some of them are kind of surviving through life. I want to be living through life, and acting is kind of the doorway to do that. I only get one life here, so let's make it interesting.
Sure.
It's just never about you. It's always about the relationship and what you're fighting for. And that's why.
A lot of inspiration comes from it, the greats, and being with this crew, and then constantly opening up and challenging all the beliefs and pushing myself further and further every time, and going for bigger projects and creating bigger change with everything.
And smoky eyes?
There's a major part of it is that I love doing it, and I love working with people who really want to work hard at something that we all share. But for me, great acting has always helped me feel seen and known in times where I haven't felt that way. And so...
Given you presence.
Pardon?
Given you presence.
Yeah, given... reflected something back to me that felt very personal to me, even though I don't know them. And I think that's the power of the work, and that's the reason I really love doing it, and the reason I love touring this show is because you can feel the immediate, tangible effect of it after the show as you speak to people.
Yeah, got it.
Very proud of it.
Time's up.
Bye, everybody. No, for me, it's connection. I think it's a difficult world we're living in at the moment with screens everywhere.
Yep.
And just being able to connect with somebody on a very intimate level and understand them in a way you didn't before. And some of the conversations we've had in the foyer after these shows, not just One Punch Wonder, but The Innocent Important, Is There Anybody Out There? Just people really bearing their soul to you about their own struggles with this.
It's just putting it in front of them, that's the thing. Amanda, this show is hopefully touring all around Australia, all three of them.
Yes.
And the three of them are?
So there's One Punch Wonder, Is There Anybody Out There, and The Innocent Porn.
So if you see that coming to a school or a venue near you, go along and have a look at it, because it really will change the way you think about life. Everybody, thank you so much. I'm so pleased that you stayed over and going back to Perth tomorrow morning. So until next time we see you, and hopefully that I see you again, keep yourself nice till then.
See ya.
Bye, everyone.